But more than that, I also actually want to begin with one thing, my thankfulness to His Holiness Dalai Lama, who accidentally, when I walked into his teaching, gave me this direction, which has fulfilled, my seeking to quite a high level. Yes, Kumud, you absolutely said it right. I have been a seeker. And this seeking took me from biology graduation to then MBA, then corporate, then Delhi University, long stint actually, my research quest, then transaction analysis, then Scientology, then, you ask me and I all adventures I went in. But almost 10 years before, when I accidentally landed in Dhamshala for His Holiness teaching, I think that was the beginning of a good walk ahead on a focused path. And why so? His Holiness was talking about ultimate reality and conventional reality. As many of my friends, I can't see them on screen, and in the end, I really look forward to chatting with them, must have been experiencing life. So was I, one of the mundane people who go on to the life seeking, happiness, seeking peace, but scripted for achievements, carrot, stick is the life we choose. Scripted for visibility, scripted for possibly status, power, whatever we can say. All right, and that is a civilization, the material living we have created. So when I heard, his take in Tibetan, mind you, because it was not English discourse, and I had a real bodhicitta person, bodhicitta, we'll come to it. Let's just say joyful mind. Okay, person sitting next to me, who shared his tea, who shared his audio. And when I heard, what is conventional reality and what is ultimate reality, suddenly like the mind blasted with joy, because I knew my pains are not because I am at wrong fault, I am not good enough, or I failed, or because I floundered. Despite my being meritorious and doing everything right and being visible, these feelings were there. One failure was very hard for forgiving myself. All right. So, suddenly all that was like melting and there was a relief. I never look back quickly, because I really want to come to the subject, but sharing of this life journey is important. I hope so. I hope so. So the next was introduction to Buddhism in Tushita Dharmshala. After that was a Tibet trip. I traveled from Lhasa to understand the terrain, I went to His Holiness home, Norbalinka. Then I came back and joined Tibet House. And since then, there is no looking back. I really want to share with you something. I don't know how much I can really share today, but the experience of delight, joy, liberation, being okay, being, very compassionate, even with the most of the difficult students in my classroom. Yes, I'm a prof and I teach. Okay, being so okay when in my training group, someone is really objecting with discourtesy and still, I think, these are the gifts. Something, Kumud, and with that, I'd like to go ahead. You mentioned Kumud, and I really, really, listened to that. And that was, in our life, we really get into outcome orientation. And, gratifying our needs is supermost. And needs, desires, basically they are material in nature. And we start looking at body, gymming, and all kind of things to the body, food, all kind of food and the physical travel. We do everything, as much as possible. We forget something, which actually they remind. And I'll try that. This also registers again to my mind and many others, that there isn't a distinction between body and mind. Science says so. I'm a biology graduation, So there's a brain and then there's a body. And brain, then the science says, okay, the spinal system and whatnot. But the mind, which psychology thankfully recognizes, is intangible in nature like air. We don't see it, we feel it. We cannot live without it. And in Buddhism, another level, I could come across that mind is a distributed mind. Each cell of a body is rejuvenating constantly. In 7 years, all the body cells change. And along with that, the mind potential is also changed. Another thing which I understood was that mind is nothing but all the thoughts, and all the thoughts are affected actually by body. So the food we eat, the air we breathe, the water, we drink, and the life we lead, with the family, friends, professional, everything is putting a dent or a contribution, you can say, in our thoughts. And those thoughts make us who we are. And that is what is the life we get. In addition to that, because of the scripting, failure is hard, success we relish. And in that roller coaster, I don't know when we lose our living. And these are the things, possibly are intriguing. And Kumud, answer to your question, that why do we get, so attracted with that and forget that there can be a long-term base creation, which can give us the, better enjoyment of those short-term gains. Yes, these are the questions actually even I had. And, since I teach performance management system and compensation as a subject, I can talk about the scorecards and lead and lag indicators. So, the lag indicators like performance of the company, profit, ROC, EBITDA, whatever you name it, is something for which a CEO and the shareholders will live for. But can they really sustain it? My current passion now. No. Balance scorecard says it is an inverted Z. So quickly coming to the topic, if the employees are not taken care of, they don't do compliance with system process not well compliant. Even if you attract best of customers, they can't be served consistently good quality, and lack of customer support is poor performance. So the lead and lag indicators are very clear that process is important also with outcome. And in the process, the strategy to process, the specific functions, their strategy, all are the lead functions, which when really designed and implemented well, gives the profit. This is how the life is. We act, we get depleted. Then the calamity, which we are going through. Nature is not kind, we have used it too much. People are not kind, we have been very negatively competitive. We are not kind. Most thing is we are not kind to ourselves. Why aren't we kind to ourselves? Because in this race, there is a lot of erosion of self, not the replenishment of self. And that is precisely happened unknowingly because of possibly, some good imprint and karma, which I am really eager to share. More than the content, more than, what we're talking about, the concept and the psychology lens, it is the life which has been enriched in this journey is something I want you to feel. So in the presentation today, I have done 2-3 interventions. Number one, we are talking about the concept as it was a promise. Possibly some of you can get attracted by that. Then I have also, as discussed, come out with a little distinction between psychology and Buddhist psychology. And then after that, the psychology lens for the Buddhist psychology to Buddhist philosophy. Because if I just say here, some of you may not. Okay, but if I just say here the word doesn't exist, I think I'll look very foolish about it. And if I say, nothing exists, even more foolish. So these are the different schools of Buddhism. Then the talk of karma, the law of karma, then the talk of, imprint, not rebirth. All this is so confusing in Buddhism and so differently interpreted. I really understood it when I really got into it through 4 or 5 retreats and a lot of education. The time it is to move. So Bodhicitta. So what is Bodhicitta? There are two things: wisdom-based compassion. What is a compassion? Matter of heart. So please, today's session is matter of heart. I wish, I could see and interact physically, but let's, there's a chat on. All right, whatever question you have, and there will be some, questions also for you to, let's use the chat for that. And then there will be a short video in the end and a meditation session. This is how I plan it. So, okay, coming back to it, matter of heart. The most of the spaces in a very hardcore business discussion, emotions are relegated to the backbencher. But then the aggression, the alpha behavior, has it really done good to us? If so, we would have had sustainable ventures, we would have had good air, we would have had good water, we would have had happy students, children, professionals. So we know where we are. So it means we need to change something. And I remember, that particular Accenture boss comment that if you really want the output to be changed, you want sustainable operation, you want peaceful life, then you have to change input or possibly tweak the process. So let us really consider that the heart is also important in a hardcore business decision, not only mind. Now, compassion is a matter of heart. And I already have made a case that heart and mind in Buddhist understanding are not separate. Second, wisdom. Technically, conventionally, they say it is a matter of mind. Bodhicitta, which has been my embedding because of my teacher, Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is director of Tibet House, New Delhi, and really embedded in Bodhicitta and emptiness. Okay, and he has bodhiwisdom.org, the website, and lots of videos for delving after this session, because this session is a tip of the iceberg. Because the 70 minutes are nothing, because they give, possibly, if not 70, at least 30, 40, 50 years into it. So Bodhicitta is wisdom-based compassion, where heart and mind are in sync, in the state of equilibrium. In my teacher's world, Geshe-la, we call him, he says, what is Bodhicitta? That mind which tells you, be compassionate to others. Then he adds, be wisely compassionate to others. That enrich yourself so that you can serve them, not that you erode yourself and serve them, and after that you do not exist, you do not feel good enough yourself. Last but not the least, that's what I took from him as a caption. Be wisely kind to self and others. Because if you're not wisely kind to self and you get eroded in the process, you are angry, frustrated, or sad, or depressed, and it happens. All these emotions will come and go, despite all these studies. But if you delve into it and go deeper, then what will happen? You can't really help others also. And being ethical, which is really required, is a kind of rekindled spirit within us in this current, very dark environment, which really needs tremendous self-belief, tremendous confidence. And my own journey and people around me, the journey, which I saw, that this Bodhicitta gave us that conviction, the self-belief and ethical embeddedness, which was lead indicator, and which is resulting in the lag indicator, the outcome. My happy self attracts talent. My quiet self attracts listening, so information. My whatever, and I'm developing, I'm a learner, please. I'm onto the journey with you. And these are the gains which really prompt me to get deeper and talk and share as much as possible. Now, what is the intention and the motivation for the session? I'll just move a little faster because I packed a little too much for you. And as I requested, Naren, some nudges will be required for the time management. So, this is something very interesting, 7 jewels. And, this is the prayer of the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means actualized beings. When seeing someone engaged in business, this is the prayer they do for them. for their success, because the business is for gain, it's a transaction. Okay. May all beings attain the 7 jewels of an exalted beings, Bodhisattva, enlightened. And what are the 7 jewels? The 7 jewels are faith. However way we can understand, but faith actually is a part of human life. A believer, non-believer, religious, non-religious, whatever tenet systems we follow in even Buddhism, faith is something we live by. And very simple example, one of my friends, said, Tanuja, do you know that next moment you're going to live? You step onto the road, are you sure you will live after that? Especially in city Delhi. And I said, no, I'm not sure. Then I said, this is faith on which, you will exist and you actually plan future. And interesting is, Bodhicitta makes you so much in present that actually the past, good or bad, both, is not with you. So the anxiety and panics are diminishing. They don't totally go away, but they diminish to the maximum possible extent. And then, faith makes you in present and good, productive, happy, satisfied work on the present makes you future, bright. Ethics, very difficult journey, ambiguous itself. Legality is easy, but ethics, this is what I'm teaching right now to 99 percentiles, business ethics. And coming out with a common dynamics where, you can make your profit and be ethical, which is possible. It's very, very difficult proposition. It takes time to build. We'll do someday, possibly we can discuss that. Learning, cognitive being we are. So generosity, now disposition, 6% perfections from His Holiness Dalai Lama's talks and the text from Nalanda. Integrity, consideration for others, and wisdom, which is discrimination. Seeing, different shades and coming out with, what is most appropriate, which will benefit maximum and at minimum cost to self. So these are the things they pray for, that if you're engaged in business, we wish all these jewels be yours and you come out with such decision making, which helps people, helps animals, helps non-human, and helps nature. Because we live in a universe, where this is the very next slide I have, dependent origination is the norm. And the dependent origination is subject to time. I'll actually like to chant 2 Sanskrit lines which they use. They have Pali, Sanskrit, English, Tibetan, all variations of that. And I will come to it. So quickly, today's agenda, based on this context, number 1, the disruptions and then additional disruption with COVID, it's been heavy to all of us, especially the second pandemic in India and globally also, the first one itself. Buddhist perspective of dealing with wisdom-based compassion, plentiful. They really have worked around that. And the ones who have been a follower, and I'm sure it has happened in other views, other religion, other non-believers, schools. But this also is one of that. Very scientific, very question-oriented, which appeals to my temperament. Then last but not the least, subject to time, there is 3-4 minutes video or scientific, assessment of meditation and 5 minutes of meditation, which I promised that I would like to conduct. And with the, disqualifier, I will not say that I am into teaching meditations. I will not claim it, but I will just give you a capsule, and that also of a first beginner's meditation. You may be more practiced people out here, but Buddhist meditation has heavy repertoire. They are analytical meditations, from single pointed to 7-point meditation to emptiness meditation, bodhicitta meditation, and all are available on a website, possibly on the chat, I would write in the due time. And this is bodhiwisdom.org. Let me actually take the opportunity and write it right here. bodhiwisdom.org. And then, this can also be, oh, this went to the direct message. Let me put it to the every, all. And also, you can look at His Holiness Dalai Lama's website and many other websites all over the globe from all part of the continent. All right, let's move now. Wait. I'm not really dwelling too much because this is the sore spot, the sadness, the pain we are carrying. I don't really have to talk about it. COVID pandemic really has worsened. Before that, 2008 onwards, financial crisis had happened. Corporate world was in trauma. I was in the peak of my career. I've been into that thick of the business, in India, Gurgaon. And then, the governments, the shift, the ideologies shift, then the wars, within the country, outside, and then a lot of conflicts on ideology. I mean, our coffer is full. So the questions come, and these are my questions as well. Why me? Why can't, I work so hard. I mean so well. Why can't I be okay? How do I cope with that? Something I get ready with, another thing happens. When will it end? And the mind is full of, anger. I can say that many times, helplessness, which translates into frustration, so on and so forth, list goes on, and suffering it becomes. What to do about it? Let us dig a little. First, regular psychology. Some of you may know these exercises. I'm just putting, for the fun. And very soon we'll move to the Buddhist psychology lens also. So, whoever works in the corporate circle and or the allied circles, two things we always know. One is the iceberg model of competency. And the iceberg model actually also is used for the bias, unconscious bias or conscious bias. So psychology lens, basically, we are human beings. We have identity. Identity is nothing but a set of bias. Bias comes from my background, my cultural, background, the way I have educated, my peer group, my work, education system the most when we are developing, and parental environment. So basically, who we are right now is the tip of the iceberg. Who we can be is below the iceberg. Lot of beautiful, learning development interventions happen in the company through Process Lab, and ISABS is known for it. All right, so I'm not delving into it, but I just want to lead you to some quick fun moments. Can I request each one of you, it's a very humble request, that please open the chat and start putting your answers. All right, and I'll just view the chat, and it will just be very quick and very fun, loving, very easy. So easy that you'll wonder, what is this Tanuja doing out here? Okay, so question number one, and question remains same. I have 2, 3, 4 slides. Okay, so the question is, match the colors of the words with the names of the colors. And please start your answer in chat. I'm looking at chat. And this question will remain same. It won't change. Match the colors of the words with the names of the color. Chat, please. Okay. Okay, it's easy, right? Yeah, absolutely. So you got it completely right, at a go. I think, I have to call out Shruti Baijal. Congratulations, you did all. So many responses coming. So here is the answer. Bang on. Most of you are right. It's so easy, right? Life also can be like that. Second. Now match the colors of the words with the names of the color. Same. Please match. Chat starts once again. One E, great. 2C, great. Who is putting all? At a go. Oh, okay, Vidya. Now this time Vidya gets it. All right, Vidya, you take the cake. I wish I could play around like that, but unfortunately time is so limited and I pack so much. There we are. Are we in the same page? Next. Match the colors of the words with the names of the color. Pay attention. Okay, 1C, 2E, Vidya. 1C. Yes, you are right. 2E. Yes, you are right. So I think we are getting it. All right. Who took the cake this time? There is another. Hi, Naren, can you help me? I think this is Yash. Oh, perfect. All right. Granted. Here is the answer. Any question here? Are we on the same page? What? Naren says we are still seeing the first slide. This cannot happen.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. The slides are proper. No problem with now.
Thank you, Naren. I got a shock because people are answering.
Yes,
so
yes.
I thought, some divine spirit has landed here to help us. All right, my last slide here. Last slide here. Match the colors in the word with the names of the color. It is on. Please response. Waiting. All the response I'm waiting for. Oh, new message. Let me just check. 1D. Elroy, you are fast. Watch, others watch. Nikita, 2E. Okay. Here I'm seeing more wrong answers along with right. First one was all right. So here is the answer. So it is Vish, right? Vish, check. 1E, 2A, 3C, 4E. You said it is 1D, 2A, 3C, 4E. You are right, 5B. So Vish, will you like to unmute? Let's have some fun. Vish, who would like to unmute? Somebody. Naren, can they unmute and talk? Oh,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I have gave the permission. Sorry for that. I just gave the permission.
Without chatting, how will we have a session? It is a hard session. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Yash. No.
Vish.
Vish. Yeah. Absolutely. Why do you think it happened? First, everybody got right, and fourth, still, like it is 1E for Nikita, but 1D here and the answer. So, Nikita, I'm coming to you next. So, what is your analysis of it? And let's play around. We don't have to be right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong or right. Yeah.
I think the association of the color, no matter what the word is immediately to the, is to the color.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So our scripting, right? Our memory, right? And how, imagine if you were not taught colors, there can be a civilization where they don't talk about these English and colors, then it would have meant nothing. Would you agree to that, Vish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Nikita. So Nikita, unmute.
Yeah, I am unmuted.
Oh, perfect. 1D. Why?
I think my mind lingered in the memory of the previous thing, and I think that while I was reading this, but maybe
fantastic. Remember it, because my next slide is exactly about this, Nikita. And Amrita. Yes, Amrita, you're the last one because there's so much I've packed in. Yeah.
I also think that the reason can be the rush to do the answer and the hurry that, I'll just get it done and over with, kind of like stops me to really slowly read, because the English is exactly apt into the answer. So if I read it very slowly, I will be able to crack it. But there is this essential hurriedness of the world that seeps into a session like this as well.
Amrita, you are so bang on. Not only that, even I feel a little rushed for no rhyme or reason. Subject is not like that at all, right?
Yeah.
And why is it happening? The world, the speed. And I really tell you, I am grateful to technology, and somewhere I hate technology. You know why grateful? Grateful? Oh, okay. So grateful because as a woman in Indian society, oh my God, the mobile gave me empowered life. The car, gave me empowered life. Internet
Right.
gave me a fully empowered life. Libraries, I was really struggling with. I was in Delhi University that time when I was doing my PhD. But one internet access that time, Alta Vista, Yahoo search. Oh my goodness, the whole output was different. So I love technology, but look at what technology has done. We talk about quick gratification, quick outcome. We are talking about micro thing. We are forgetting English. We write half words. Okay. and when we are so fast in communication, written and oral, what happens to the thoughts behind that? We are curtailing it. We are just, reacting instead of acting. And these are the issues. And between these conversations, something possibly you wanted to indicate was in attention, just attention. What I got from this conversation was attention, that attention wavered because of past learning, attention wavered because of the hurried behavior, attention wavered because of the, a lot of other factors, distraction and pressures. And this is what Vipassana again, when I entered, and then, by the way, I forgot to mention, PhD on Vipassana also has happened in MDI Gurgaon with me and Professor Rajan Gupta, who's been a part of ISAPS for a long time. Okay, and Himanshu's teaching in TIS. And then we realized in that process, he went through Vipassana, my student, I went through Vipassana, and we read articles, Shapiro's, intention, attention, and action. This is how we are living our life. Please absorb it, because this is something which I understood, it boggled my mind, and after processing, it has given me a lot of good life quality. So what is intention, attention, and action? Simple words. Actually, somewhere we are very, very governed by where attention goes, and subconsciously, unconsciously, when it is related to the intention, I want to do it. Actually, attention starts going there. And you want to experience it? I think the exercise was a beautiful, because your intention was to get it right. Your attention started going to whatever you picked up first. And if your intention was to get it right first, I'm sorry, I had to add that first. But if your intention was only to get it right, as you said, you articulated so beautifully, Amrita, right? Okay, you articulated so beautifully that if the intention was to get it right, I would have given time. And the time, that intention actually would have refocused attention in each. Look, the question was same, the context got different. It is a trick slide, right? And when the context is different, attention did not become different. And this is the biggest problem in the corporate world, I can say confidently, because I deal with them on a daily basis through teaching, consulting, training, and because I'm in a B school. And this B school is local, global, community. My interest is in interior India, and the training, public sector, private sector, you name it, the exposure. I mean, this is why I love Delhi University. And after working for a good while, I left, because the kind of, exposure and, the insights this variation was giving was humongous. So coming back to it, I want all of you to think that how to really ensure that my intention and the attention actually has a linkage. And trust me, the moment that thought process starts happening, you don't have to perfect. Give it time. They're processing material. Okay. So if you are, attention is going to something. For example, let's say during COVID times, you said, that we lived in lockdown and we could live with minimum consumerism in terms of basic consumerism like food and all that, right? And then health also is very important. So if your intention is to actually have that healthy life where you relaxed a little, worked a little before work from home started, all right, then possibly if your attention goes to, really buy 10 more clothes, possibly your intention will prompt, buy one. Don't leave it. How will the business run otherwise? Okay, but let's invest in the right buying. For example, instead of, very commercial and harmful production produced garments, possibly we can look at organic. Best is food, local, fresh. Okay, and there are cheaper version also and costly version also, and corporates can always afford to buy the best. Okay, you have money. So intention can actually make your attention right, and attention right is action right, but a processing is required each time. Like the color exercise, you have to break your condition. Each time you got to pause and think. Intention was to eat healthy. Okay, and even it could be beet pizza. I mean, that is not an issue. But attention went on, not one time, regular wrong eating. Then possibly you say, okay, take a call, pausing time. So mind is a magnet. And if you always think of blessings or wherever attention goes, so positive psychology I'm speaking from, you attract more blessings. So whatever you think of, what we talk of, my sadness, my agony, the boss issues, the family issues, and they are plentiful in India, all sides. Okay, so what happens? My attention is going there. Intention is a happy life, but action, I'm not getting happy. Because there isn't a link. We know we are in computer age. And this is what I like in Buddhism. It's very logical, very flowy, very to the point. And they say test it. So next time, test it. If it makes sense, well and fine. Otherwise, let's drop this particular something I said and come and question me. Okay, wherever I am, you'll find me. Okay, quickly, we think we see the world as it is, when in fact, we see the world as we are. And this is what Buddhism has done, in terms of understanding. Especially, I follow Nalanda text. I'm a student of Nalanda text, 7th, 8th century from India, which His Holiness the Dalai Lama Ji have revived, and my teacher teaches in Tibet House, online also. So, okay, how do we say? And it's not a self-blame, please. It's not a self-blame, all right? And it's basically about introspection and reflection. Naren, here, how much time at my end, please? So accordingly, I'll plan.
You have 20 minutes. You have 20 minutes.
So 10
you can
minutes.
leave 5-10 minutes for any questions.
So all right. So 20 minutes means 6 and so okay. I think now I am just going to share some concepts. So I'll begin with the destructive emotion, the most common anger. We always say, I did right, others did wrong. So in Buddhist understanding, it's a mental factor, it is a mental affliction. And please, I want you to understand that desire and dislikes are not a problem. Desire is fine, dislike is fine. But when there's attachment, I did it, she or he didn't, then there's an issue. And then it becomes a destructive emotion. Then destructive emotion, 1 or 2 poems I'm going to read, and rest I'll share the presentation because I don't see otherwise that we can do more processing. Buddhist perspective of destructive emotions, and dealing with the same, the solution, I think these 4 lines explain. Where would I possibly find enough leather with which to cover the surface of the entire earth or planet? But wearing leather just on the soles of my shoes is equivalent to covering the earth. So strategically, if you really look at it, destructive emotions, instead of working at the world reforms, then I become happy, please look inwards. Look inwards, why? because this is one of the things, and when you get it into deeper, you'll come to know, because they say it is 12 links of dependent origination. Everything is dependent origination. We exist on each other. I think COVID times really demonstrated it very beautifully. If this exists, that exists. If this ceases to exist, that ceases to exist. It means whatever unhealthy cycle is going on, we break the cycle, it gets disrupted, and the good cycle we can begin from. So dependent origination, and you can read the poem in between, is nothing but understanding that each action has its cause and effect and imprint. And then they come out with a lot of, philosophy behind it, 6 perfections that everything has to be right, generosity, ethics. I've talked about it in the beginning, patience, joyous efforts, and wisdom. Wisdom versus ignorance. And 5 aggregates, this is something which is a basis of philosophy. Who we are is actually, and I want to take, deeper through the, and I'll take 5 minutes on that, Kumud. We are nothing but the matter, panch tattva hum bolte hain. Then feelings, perception, we have already checked. Mental formation, consciousness. Expanding consciousness is the journey we are in as a seeker. Impermanence is another, important concept Buddhism carries. And what is impermanence? Impermanence is very simple, very, very simple. That, everything has a period, a definite cycle. And how do you judge impermanence? By negation. By negation means rose is a rose because it is not a lotus. This is why this phenomena is not permanent. We think we are permanent. We live forever. And that is why we hold all the wealth, do all the things, compromise on ethics. And after that, we are unable to live with ourselves, or our next generation cannot. It's about cognitive development, awareness, knowing. Yes, it is. But remember, that is also the transitional in-between period. Because knowing, at this slide very, very clearly, shares with you, knowing is also subjective in nature. What I know. What others know, others know. And there are 2 demons they talk about. And let's experience that, in the meditation. One is, I know that this is my truth, and this is the universal truth. So self-grasping ignorance. I know I exist. This is why everybody should do what I say. Because they, I say that this is the second demon. The demon is that, look, I exist, they also exist. And my knowledge is only my knowledge. Objective truth is outside. Theory of knowledge, I'm not getting, into epistemological details, but they come out with the Shil, Samadhi, Pragya, because that leads us to meditation. Shil is the model conduct we talked about. Samadhi is the concentration, which is single pointed to a meditation. And the Pragya is wisdom, and wisdom-based compassion only is the way out, especially in the current technological world, which is losing its memory. Buddhist psychology, only one line I want to point out here. Conceptual thoughts provide cognitive content, and conceptual thoughts are always mistaken. It's tough to believe. We'll have to undertake this journey to understand. But the whole thing is, thoughts are impermanent in nature. And thoughts are mistaken because they have arisen because of some, interaction. And very, very quick example I can just give you, here is table. I say this is table, and I wish I had time to really engage with the group. But table, but if I look from the top, it is only a plank. If I look from the bottom, it is only 4 legs. So basically, beyond a point, I say table. And when I separate, when I look from a different angle, like the elephant story, it is something else. So that is a conventional reality that this shape and size is a table, that also when people understand the language. Otherwise, ultimate reality is we don't know. Something exists that we know. Rose. It's not rose because it is lotus, but beyond a point. Rose is petal, rose is a stem. Me, Tanuja. Tanuja is name, Tanuja is eye, Tanuja is nose. I don't know. There are so many Tanujas. Then after that, further distinction, electron microscopic, view, and we'll find that, cells are there. Electron microscope see nothing. So Tanuja doesn't exist then. So these are the things we deliberate. I just gave you a sample, and it's a thrilling journey I have spent with international groups in the retreats, and trust me, It blew my mind. So let us, really come out with finally how to practice threefold path study, which we touched through beautiful interventions, meditation, which we are going to touch, and contemplation, reflection, reflection, and reflection. It's a matter of training. Training is possible. This is a beautiful, beautiful verse on compassion. I'll just share that with you because I would like to get into some action now. The end time is Kumud 7 o'clock?
7:15.
7:15, perfect. Then possibly you can write through because we have 15 minutes there. So 8 verses of mind training basically talks about the compassion at its height. And compassion at its height, you can glance through it, but last one I like to read, when others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with abuse, slander, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and others the victory. How difficult it is. But think of people, think of Gandhi, think of some people around us, possibly sometimes our parents. That is what is compassion all about. But the beginning is from mindfulness, beginning is from little bit of, meditation. Meditation gives the equipoise. And why meditation actually is not fluffa, it is a scientific intervention. Watch this video.
Science has contributed to our understanding of the effects of meditation on the brain and body.
The research that we've done on meditation in the brain has focused on two major domains that meditation actually affects. One is attention, and the other is emotion. And what we have discovered is that the circuits in the brain that are important for regulating both attention and emotion can be transformed by meditation. The 30,000-foot goal is to use the scientific research to understand the nature of suffering and how it can best be alleviated. And Mingyur Rinpoche was one of our first long-term practitioners. This will be strapped onto the arm, and we'll get your ratings of how...
That's normal, without meditation?
Yes. Yes, without meditation. Usually when you do this kind of research with either brain electrical measurements or MRI, it takes a lot of what we call post-processing to look at the data. And what post-processing means is simply lots of computer algorithms churning at the data after the data is collected. And it often takes many, many days of computer processing to extract these really weak signals in a lot of noise. It's finding a needle in a haystack. With Mingyur Rinpoche, we didn't need any fancy post-processing. We actually were able to see a signal with our naked eye. Of course, the first thing we thought is that there's artifact and there's something wrong because this just is not something that we typically would see. And so then we had to go through the entire recording system and take everything apart and put it back together before we convinced ourselves that this is actually real. Then when we discovered that it was real, it was really quite amazing because nobody had ever seen these kinds of signals before for this length of time. And what we were looking at are gamma oscillations in the brain. They're very fast frequency.
Oops.
Science has...
Just give me a moment. I went on chat and,
With Mingyur Rinpoche, we didn't need any fancy post-processing. We actually were able to see a signal with our naked eye. Of course, the first thing we thought is that there's artifact and there's something wrong because this just is not something that we typically would see. And so then we had to go through.
So this goes off the moment.
Science has contributed to our understanding of the effects of meditation on the brain and body.
For the entire time that the meditation session was in progress. And that's what made them very visible. So that was really a very important moment, because we knew that from a scientific perspective, there was a there there. We can see that a person who meditates for even just 2 weeks, 30 minutes a day, shows a different pattern of brain activity than when they started 2 weeks before. And that is really important, because it suggests that the brain really is plastic, that we really can make these changes, and that it actually doesn't take that much. A total of 7 hours of practice was sufficient to change the brain in very objective, measurable ways. Well-being and warm-heartedness can be cultivated. We can think of them almost as skills, which can be enhanced through certain kinds of practice.
So there we are. Now, since meditation can make the muscles and mental muscles, can actually make you resilient, can give you well-being, possibly all of us are into some practice, but are you open to do a little bit of single pointed meditation, let's say 3-4 minutes? Perfect. So Kumud, you nod, I say as yes. So, just to be quick, this is gratification, all right? And then possibly gratification takes us to the serious practice, and I wish you that. Now, in the gratification, please remember one thing. I'm not wasting time in instructions. Just start, and you start, and I'll keep on giving instructions to you, because in Buddhism, analytical meditation always is very talking meditation. They're not silent meditation. Okay. So what I do is, the way you are, and I'm also starting it, the way you are sitting, just relax, make your backbone straight. Okay, just be comfortable, but don't touch your back with something. Make your backbone straight, possibly hands on the lap or on the sides, on your thighs. All right, eyes 3/4 open. So 1/3 open, sorry, eyes 1/3 open, like Buddha's eyes. All right, don't close, don't close. And then what you do is start breathing. And when you breathe, focus on your breath. And this focus on the breath, get your attention onto the below the nose, on the lips, center of the lips. So let's start. I'll come, let's start. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in, breathe out. Eye bit open. Breathe in, breathe out. Invert your gaze below your nose, onto the lip, center of the lip. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't force your breath. Enjoy the breath. Relax with it. Be with it. Feel the breath. Feel the breath below your nose. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't make your mind very agile. The activities is a nature. Quieten it. First, vigil action. Breathe in, breathe out. Watch for the second enemy. Don't be lax either. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Focus on breath, no thoughts. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Focus on the breath. Concentration on the tip on your lips below the nose. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Enjoy it. Breathe in, breathe out. Relax. Do we come out? Time up. Kumud, I can see only you. So, and this was actually whatever we say, you know, it was like intention was to experience, but attention went to time. the dilemma, the duality we face in life. Now, at this point, I just want the whole thing open for the chat. Or open for, please put on your, come on video, unmute yourself. And Narinder, I hope it is fine, Naren. And let's have a conversation.
Yes,
yeah, everybody, I look forward to you.
Can I ask a question on
Please
meditation?
ask. Can I unshare my slides? Is it okay if I unshare my slides?
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
Or
We can have a gallery view.
Or let me have side-by-side view. Yeah, please. Who's speaking?
My name is Rahul.
Rahul. Hi, Rahul.
Hello. Hi. And about meditation, I mean, when you said 1/3 eye is closed, I was feeling a little strain. And can eyes be closed in this meditation?
Rahul, only because we have a habit.
Okay, that.
And you know, it doesn't matter if eyes closed or eyes partially open. But you see, if you notice Buddha's statue, the eye is partly open like this. You know the reason? The moment you close your eye, you sleep or you get drifted in thoughts. And the moment you struggle with the thoughts, your meditation is gone. Be it anxiety, be it panic, be it, you know, whatever thoughts, don't struggle with them. Friction spoils the equipoise of meditation. Ultimately, you know, people have worked out their panic. There are lovely videos, and Mingyur Rinpoche is very, very popular, the Lama in the lab. So ultimately, people got over the worst panic. And you know what? They started loving the panic, and the panic became a friend, and panic did not disturb them. You don't trust or trust, whatever is your choice. Okay, I don't give you that option, but serve. And then go meet some people who are in.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes, please.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Okay. Who next? Excuse me. Yeah. Amrita. I'm so sorry. Amita Jilan. Yeah.
So I just want to know your thoughts, Tanuja. Mindfulness or meditation talks about witnessing your emotions that are happening to you, embracing them, and not labeling them as right and wrong or bad and good. And yet there is another school of thought that constantly tells you, think positive thoughts, always be positive, whatever you think is what you attract. I find this very paradoxical and sometimes confusing, because there are times I notice myself that if I practice suppression or restraint of emotion, I am moving towards being positive, because that's the narrative of these times. Be positive, be cheerful, be chirpy. And yet then it shows in my body in some way or the other, because it is forced positivity. I'm not actually feeling positive.
Amita, thank you. Absolutely, thank you. That's what actually got me into practice. And first year, I think I just, and they say ask questions. But I can share my individual subjective experience and many other fellow travelers' experience. They are the initial stages. So in Buddhism, mind is awareness, cognition, then affective. And the maximum work happens through philosophy and Buddhist psychology lens, where they make it empty. Empty never means that there's nothing. Empty means whatever I have in mind is actually a mind creation by myself. So if I see Amita here, actually, this is a, I'm using a word, illusion. And why illusion? Because I see Amita in the way my mind is limited. Mine's only school, Chitamatra. But Amita may be far more than I know. So I don't really know Amita Jalan. I just know of Amita whatever my mind knows. And this is a very limited knowing, so I drop it. And when you start that practice, cognitive mind gets very sharpened. And affective mind, which does the drama, emotion here, emotion there, up, down, that starts cooling down. I'm sorry, Naren. Do we have 2-3 minutes or we can't exceed the time? You tell me.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. 3
Thank
minutes.
you so much, because this is so precious to me, and I hope precious to you. So Amita, please understand, there are steps. And this is where I have loved, I really have been traveler of inputs to make myself okay. And I didn't know what is okay, but I understood that everything. So even including my dearest daughter, father, partner, whatever I know only is limited to my knowing. And this is mind's only school. There is another Prasangika school of which I'm follower, but today possibly if we don't have that time, possibly we can interact. I'm very much around, and you can walk into Tibet House or Tibet House website. You can, so answers are there. And answers are in the viewpoint, in the lens they look from. That's all I can say. I like one more question, and thank you, Amita, for asking such a deep question. I like one more question or 2 more questions.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Tanuja. Have you heard of Nichiren Buddhism?
Yes. And
yeah, okay.
My seeking has taken me there also. And it is very powerful.
Okay, so how do you get centered in Nichiren? Because I'm also teaching and I get, now I know lots of things mentally, but when I'm on the ground in class and then the students are absolutely horrible. So how do I keep that equanimity of mind at that point of time?
Yeah.
As the lady who previously said,
I just got your question. I got your question, and I'm sorry I'm coming in fast because of time. Such a right question it is. So the answer is just one. They say mind is a delusional mind. I'm using the very sharp word. And the delusional mind wants that I exist. My student need to notice, I am also teaching with all kinds of students. So the empty, full of potential mind, empty means everything is there, but connection of mind, that I, the demon, troubles me. Okay, my grasping that this is right, what I'm saying troubles me. 2 demons. Self-centered attitude, antidote compassion. My grasping, I know that, antidote wisdom. So 2 demons. The moment I start getting that feeling when I'm teaching online, there are 60 people, 2 coming on this thing, 5 writing on chat. Elroy, I share your experience. My mind says, why am I getting upset? This is my I. Okay, my wisdom says, why do I conclude that they are lazy bunch of children? They may be. I don't know. And what I do is, as a responsibility, can I strategize in some way that so class participation, chat on, whiteboard on, quizzes on, side by side. So engagement is on. And so, but that happens, that creativity comes with each group only when I drop my I, destructive emotions goes off. I drop my knowing, SIA. I hope I answered.
As I live, okay.
Thank you.
So I have the, a very unwelcome job to do. And
wish I needed to talk to you. Yeah, sorry, Kumud, but I told you I'm a professor, I speak, and this is my life.
I am also, I have been a teacher. Teachers
so
can't
sorry,
stop
my
before
apology.
when they start talking, it's difficult, but that's not the point. Actually, whatever you were talking was so engaging that it is actually difficult for me to ask you to stop. But then, and I'm already making plans how to rope you in so that I can get more of you. It's really, it has triggered that seeker in me, and I'm sure in many more of us. And what I liked was that things which sound so very difficult and deep, you make them sound so simple. It seems that yes, it can be done.
it can be done. I do it.
Yeah.
I'm here. And what a rocky path I have traveled from, but my skin has settled into that. And please meet His Holiness Dalai Lama once. See his gaze, see his skin. Okay, somehow, you know, he comes with a lot of public appearance. You will know that is our potential. I know that is our potential. So Kumit, thank you for saying that.
Thank you so much. It has been great, lovely. Right, starting from the word go when we chatted on phone.
Yes.
And I think I have found a friend for my life.
And I'm grateful to all the people who are present here, especially the ones who responded and also ones who chatted. And my apology, I took more time and this is not what I really thought, but you know, it does happen. So possibly I have to work on it. And I would work on it. And Kumut,
thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
And I think it was a great session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.